Creating us, God has called each and every one of us to a most high vocation. And that rests above all on the fact that we are called to communion with God. Are you considering religious or marriage life? Are you undecided about your purpose, your vocation? Or you just need more information to help you make up your mind? Then I welcome you to an exceptional episode of the show today. Hey Saints, this is Kakli Faith Forum. I am Evelyn Iwuoha. And on today's episode, we shall be answering the question, how to know the vocation that one has been called to. Joining me in this discussion is a fascinating personality I can't wait for you guys to meet. When we return from this break, stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. This is Kakli Faith Forum. I am Evelyn Iwuoha. Today, we shall be discussing how to know the vocation that one has been called to. Allow me to introduce to you my very esteemed guest in person of Reverend Father Mark Anthony Nwoko. Woo! Clap, 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 clap. We are very much welcome here. Padre, it's a pleasure to have you.
Pleasure is mine too.
Okay. Reverend Father Mark Anthony Nwoko is a priest of the Catholic Diocese of Iseluku, currently working and studying in the Archdiocese of Lagos. He's a fresh graduate of the Faculty of Law, University of Lagos. This is his 8th year as a priest. He has a passion for tele-evangelism, public speaking, holistic and integral personal growth, and being an agent of positive change. His hobbies are traveling, voracious reading, making friends, and retreating. His popular quote is, if you thank God, you must thank man also. Thank you very much, Padre, for honoring our invitation.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I would like to ask you first, how are you feeling? How was it coming down here?
Well, not too challenging.
Okay.
It's something I've looked forward to, although the rain didn't make it easy, but
Okay.
I mean, we're good to go.
We thank God. And you mentioned that your hobbies are voracious reading. Voracious reading. Padre, how did this, is this something you have always, maybe you started from very tender age, you just loved reading, or what is it about?
Yeah, I've always loved reading because I've always had this conviction that not to read is to be impoverished.
Wow.
You know, so there has always been this whole appetite for reading,
Okay.
gaining new knowledge.
Okay.
And then what I do, being a priest, also demands that you stay informed because we get to meet people from all walks of life.
Okay.
And it would be a big tragedy to open your mouth and spill ignorance.
Wow. Wow. I like that. So let's get to our discussion, how to know the vocation one has been called. You know, before we answer that question, a lot of people, when they hear the word vocation, what comes to their mind, they are thinking of, okay, either they are going to become priests or reverend sisters, or they're going to serve basically in the church. But let us just get it straight. What exactly is vocation?
Well, you're right. That understanding of vocation is one that seems to be out there.
Okay.
But an opportunity like this makes it possible for us to clear those hazy areas around the understanding of vocation. Vocation is not just to the religious life.
Okay.
Vocation, it also entails marriage.
Okay.
Even single life is a vocation.
Wow.
Because we see a lot of persons today, due to no fault of theirs, they just choose to stay unmarried. And they are finding fulfillment in it.
But that's a little, because the youth of today, we're all about single. I need to get a man soon. I need to settle down as soon as, how would you explain it to the youth of today that being single or living the single life is a vocation too?
Well, explaining it to our youths of today would be quite challenging, but there's no harm in trying to explain to them. We also need to understand that discovering the vocation that God has called us into demands some level of openness and discernment. You don't just force yourself into a particular area, or you don't do a thing because your colleagues are doing it.
Okay.
One of the things that attracted me to the life I'm living now was so many years ago. I think a man from Iwuoha celebrated his 40th year of celibacy.
Wow.
Not married, So people are choosing to be single and they're finding fulfillment in it. And so if we have testaments of people who have gone along that path and they are doing it well, they are carrying it on like a badge, then it just simply says that it's a road that if one finds himself on it, he should walk on it with his or her full chest.
So would you agree that everyone has a vocation? So how can one discern their vocation? Because sometimes it gets to this crossroad that, okay, do I want to join the religious? Do I want to get married? Or just like one leg in, one leg out? So how can one discern their vocation?
Discerning one's vocation comes with a lot of introspection.
Okay.
A lot of retreating and a lot of prayers. But again, it also involves openness to mentorship.
Openness?
Yes, to mentorship from spiritual counselors, religious leaders, people who know more than you do.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot because, like we earlier said, it's not just vocation entails a lot of things. It's not just along the religious path.
Okay, Badri, there are some situations whereby some individuals, they are not ready to commit, like they don't want to settle down yet, but they have relationships that are more like you want to advise them that, please, why don't you just settle down? But you just want to keep interacting with people on different bases, but you are not ready to commit. So like, would you say that person is quite like, I don't know how to say, but the person wants to have it both ways, live single, but then still enjoy as though the person is living a married life?
When such situations emerge, and we're privileged to speak to such a person, I would tell the person to get serious, because the truth is, you would usually think that you have a lot of time on your hands, but before you know what's happening, life has a way of happening so fast on us. And before you know what's happening, you've wasted a great chunk of your years of vitality testing both waters. So there's every need to get decisive at some point, know what you want for yourself, commit it to God in prayer, seek guidance and mentorship, and then hit the ground running, like our president would say.
Okay, Padre, there are some people that actually say that, okay, I want to join the religious life because I love the way they dress, the way they relate, the way they live their daily lives. And I just want to be a priest. I just want to be a reverend sister. And I would like you to shed more light on the intentions behind vocation. But just before that, let's go on a short break. Let's find out who the saint of the week is. Stay with us. Our saint of the week is Saint Agnes of Rome. Saint Agnes of Rome was born in 291 AD in Rome and raised in a Christian family. Agnes was very beautiful and belonged to a wealthy family. Her hand in marriage was highly sought after, and she had many high-ranking men chasing after her. However, Agnes made a promise to God never to stain her purity. Her love for the Lord was great, and she hated sin even more than death. Whenever a man wished to marry Agnes, she would always say, "Jesus Christ is my only spouse." According to legend, the young men she turned away became so angry and insulted by her devotion to God and purity that they began to submit her name to authorities as a Christian follower. In one incident, Procop, the governor's son,
became very angry when she refused him. Prokop accused her of being a Christian and brought her to his father, the governor. The governor promised Agnes wonderful gifts if she would only deny God, but Agnes refused. He tried to change her mind by putting her in chains, but her lovely face shone with joy. Next, he sent her to a place of sin, but an angel protected her. At last, she was condemned to death. Even the pagans cried to see such a young and beautiful girl going to death. Yet, Agnes was as happy as a bride on her wedding day. She did not pay attention to those who begged her to save herself. "I would offend my spouse," she said, "if I were to try to please you. He chose me first, and he shall have me." Then she prayed and bowed her head for the death stroke of the sword. Other accounts of Agnes's life hold that the prefect Sempronius was responsible for her martyrdom. The prefect first tried to convince Agnes to offer sacrifice to the Roman gods. She refused. Her heart was firm in its devotion to her beloved. The prefect then tried to frighten her by displaying some instruments of torture in the hands of the cruel executioner himself. Agnes showed no fear and refused to burn incense to false gods. Outraged, the prefect ordered that she be taken to brothels to be violated by immoral men. At the brothels, the men looked at her with lust from a distance, but appeared more frightened of her than she was of them. None dared approach her. It is said that only one young man did approach her, only to be immediately struck blind and brought to the ground. Through a prayer spoken by Agnes, though, his sight was restored. The prefect, having failed to convert Agnes back to paganism or to defile her body, then condemned her to a death by beheading. Agnes willingly offered her neck to the executioner, who trembled with fear as he approached, while she was as joyful as a bride waiting to meet her bridegroom. She died a virgin martyr at the age of 12 or 13 on 21st January 304. St. Agnes is widely known as the patron saint of young girls. She is also the patron saint of chastity, rape survivors, and the children of Mary. She is often represented with a lamb, the symbol of her virgin innocence, and a palm branch like other martyrs. She is shown as a young girl in robes holding a palm branch with a lamb either at her feet or in her arms. Her feast day is celebrated on January 21st. On her feast day, it is customary for 2 lambs to be brought in to be blessed by the Pope. On Holy Thursday, the lamb's wool is removed and woven into the pallium the Pope gives to a newly consecrated archbishop as a sign of his power and union with the Pope. And so we say, Saint Agnes, pray for us.
Welcome back, guys. And if you're joining us for the first time, our discussion is centered on how to know the vocation that one has been called. And just before the break, Padre, you made us to understand that vocation is something that requires your attention, that requires your time, that requires you to be open to mentorship. And most especially, everyone has a vocation. And do not think that it's only particular to religious life, the married life, and even living a single life. So, Padre, just before the break, you are going to tell us more about the intentions behind the vocation. How should an intention be? Should it just be because I like it, because my friends are doing it? Like, how intentional should somebody be about their vocation?
Well, you should be 100% intentional about your vocation, because your vocation tells a lot about your person.
Okay.
For instance, many of us who are priests today were drawn to this path because we liked the priest appearing in his habit or in his cassock. After Mass, as altar servers, we would carry a lot of Thanksgiving items to Father's house, the goats, the chicken, the rice, and
Wow.
we were like, oh man, these guys are enjoying. But you know, the interesting thing is,
Okay.
going into the seminary now affords you the opportunity over time to begin to have a review, because you begin to see that there is more to this part than chicken. There is more to this life than goats.
Wow.
You know? And that's why at various intervals in the seminary, you are made to write with your hand why you want to become a priest. And then it's quite interesting that for so many times I was made to write it down, my views changed, because the closer I came to the priesthood, my worldview began to broaden. And I began to see things better and know that, there's a lot that is expected of you in becoming a priest. So those who want to choose a career path must be intentional about it. And you must understand that there is more to the vocation you're aspiring towards than the things you see on the outside.
Okay, so Padre, I actually want to ask you a personal question. Just before you decided you made up your mind and said, no, this is what I want. Did you ever feel this pressure that, okay, I'm going to be disappointing my family, I'm going to be disappointing those who are looking up to me? Maybe they wanted me to be more responsible, maybe they wanted me to be like a doctor or a lawyer, because some people find themselves in these situations and they feel like, to be honest with you, maybe let's say they are in the seminary or they're in the novitiate or convent, and then after a while, they begin to feel as though they do not fit into that environment. They want to step out, but they feel that pressure that I have expectations to meet. So what would such persons do? What about, like, now this is personal to you, that did you ever find yourself in such situation?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
First, I had all the support from my parents and my siblings.
Wow.
Treading on this path. But as it is expected on the part of discernment and vocation, there will be times when uncertainties will arise.
Okay.
At some point, I began to ask myself, is this what I really want to do all my life? I will have no one call me father.
Wow.
So at that point, I walked up to my vice rector to tell him the whole crisis that was going on within me. And that session really helped me.
Okay.
I remember walking up to him on our convocation to appreciate him for allowing himself to be used by God to keep me on track when I was having those crises and all of that. And he didn't remember, but that made a very deep impression on me.
Okay.
So there will be times when that crisis, that the uncertainty would come.
Yeah.
First, you need to understand that it is a given.
Yeah.
It is expected on the part of discernment. So when this begins to happen, you just need to go into yourself, listen to the promptings of your heart, and seek the face of God, what he wants from you and where he wants you to be. Yeah.
What he wants from you and where he wants you to be. Okay, so, but Padre, if, I don't know, but some people feel like before they go into the religious life or before they do something, like maybe God has to really show them in their dreams. Or what if for individuals that maybe they do not, maybe let's say they are introverts and maybe they are not open to talking to people and all, but they have it deep within them that I'm not sure which to do, And I have a friend that will tell me that before I will go into the religious life, God must appear in my dream. You get? So I don't know, are there specific events that happen within a person's life that will make the person, certain? You made mention of discernment, you made mention of praying to God, to make up your mind and to make it a good decision. So are there certain events that would just, that would give one a hint that, okay, this is tending towards this direction?
Yes, there are certain events, but on the flip side, I also need us to understand that one of the major setbacks and clogs in the wheel of finding fulfillment on the part of vocation is you having an expected way you want to hear from God.
Okay.
Like your friend, for her, God has to appear to her. Meanwhile, God would just reach out to her through an event that happened in church or through a mentor, through a friend.
Okay.
So yes, that brings us back to one of the points we have said ad nauseam, the fact that to really discover where God wants you to be or your true vocation, there must be that openness to God's leading and his prompting.
Okay.
So, and then it also means that over time, you need to have mastered how God speaks to you. So that as soon as you hit it, you're convinced about it, there will be no dilly-dallying, and you hit the ground running.
Thank you very much, Padre. But we have to take another break. I hate to do this, but let us meet with Jeffrey and find out more about our faith. Stay with us.
Hi guys, welcome to another enlightening episode of Know Your Faith. If you don't know me, or why won't you know me? I am Jeffrey, your ever-smiling host. We continue with our series Bodily Gestures at Mass and their significance. Now, the second gesture we'll be considering is the Gospel Greeting. Now, the priest, on announcing the Gospel to be read from the lectionary, that big book usually holds, that is a reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John, makes the sign of the cross with his thumb. The congregation, after hearing of the name of the gospel that is to be read, respond, "Glory to you, O Lord," while using the ancient form of crossing themselves with 3 small crosses. In Latin, this is called tres cruces. Latin is sweet, guys. Using the thumb to make the sign of the cross upon the forehead, the lips, and over the heart. Some people may wish to add the following silent prayer when doing so. May the Lord be on my mind, on my lips, and in my heart. Now, this is because the gesture is seen as a form of prayer for the presence of the Word of God in your mind, on your lips, and in your heart. The major thing I want you to take out of this video is this. Now, the next time someone asks you why you cross your forehead, lips, and heart at the gospel greeting, tell them it is a form of prayer, inviting the presence of the Word of God into your mind, your lips, and heart. Alright guys, that's all on this episode. And let's wait the next episode where another body gesture at Mass will be discussed. Till next time, be bold, be Catholic.
Welcome back, guys. Our discussion is still centered on how to know the vocation one has been called. Thank you very much, Jeffrey, for that session. It was inspiring. All right, Padre, just before the break, you were making us understand that openness is very, very important. And then establishing an intimate relationship with God can help you discern which vocation you have been called to. So, Padre, I would like to ask that, can a person have multiple vocations? And can these vocations, can they change over time?
Yeah, very valid. A person can have multiple vocations.
Okay.
There could be times when the person would transition from a secular vocation to a religious vocation. And at the same time, one could, even after having chosen a path, he could have another vocation. For instance, I'm a priest and I'm already on the path of becoming a lawyer.
Wow.
You know, so amidst all of this, you must be able to strike a balance.
Okay.
And know why you are doing what you're doing.
Okay.
You know, it shouldn't be a case of shadow boxing, just trying everything.
Yeah.
So that at the end of the day, you don't become a jack of all trade and a master of none.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
But there are instances where people find themselves in situations whereby their mom is telling them, you must be a priest, though. You must be a priest. You must be a reverend sister. See your auntie, she's a reverend sister. And all this pressure from the left and the right, all sides. So individuals that find, maybe they do not have the desire to, you know, to go that path, or maybe they really want to live single, but they did not want to settle down. So like when they find themselves under such pressure, what should they do? You know, is it that they will stand up to their parents, or what exactly? How can they handle it?
Well, people need to understand that vocation is basically about the person involved.
Okay.
It's quite sad that in this age and time, people still go through that, where certain career paths are forced on people. You know, I heard a story some time ago of a young man whose dad wanted him to be a medical doctor.
Okay.
He went through it, and on the day of his induction, he handed the certificate to the dad and said, "This is for you. I want to be a musician." You know? So we need to understand that because it's about the individual, we must give them that enabling environment, give them that opportunity to do what they want to do,
Okay.
that would have emerged on a platform of conviction and hearing from God.
Wow.
So that we don't have situations where people are on a certain path, but they are not fulfilled. They are not finding joy from it.
True.
Yeah.
Padre, you made mention of secular vocation. What exactly do you mean by secular vocation?
Okay. Secular vocation within this context could mean becoming a banker,
Okay.
becoming a doctor, and what have you.
Okay.
And then going back to that question of having multiple vocations, today we're having priests who are medical doctors and at the same time they are priests.
Yeah.
So yes, there has to be that divide because they are not the same. A secular vocation is a secular vocation, and a religious vocation is a religious vocation.
Religious vocation.
Yeah.
Okay, so Padre, finally, I would like to ask this last question. What is the influence of community or the society in, finding or discovering a person's vocation?
Okay. The community plays a very pivotal role in discovering one's vocation,
Okay.
and at the same time, a community could also hamper the process of discovering your true vocation. But looking at it from the positive angle,
Okay.
A community could be a source of encouragement.
Yeah.
A community could be a platform for accountability.
True.
Because when you're coming from a society that has encouraged your vocation, there would always be this urge not to fail them because you know where you're coming from.
Very true.
You know, that's the whole sense of accountability. And oftentimes, it helps you to keep being on track because you know that a lot of persons are looking up to you from home and you can't afford to disappoint them. You can't afford to fail them. But where the reverse is the case, where we find a situation where the community becomes a source of discouragement, you should be able to, first of all, get yourself out of that place. Because if you remain there, you might never be able to find that true happiness which you desire. And then surround yourself with people who would encourage you, people who would continue to pump in energy and strength into you so you can truly be fulfilled and
happy. This is amazing. Like, I am enlightened. I don't know about you, but the conversation has been really, really fascinating. And I couldn't have gotten a better guest other than Padre here. Thank you very much, Padre, for enlightening us about vocation. I know that you watching this, you know more, you know better now. And do not confuse vocation with something that you have to, put one leg in, put one leg out. Make up your mind. Make sure that you establish an intimate relationship with God so that when he gives you promptings, you would not say, I did not hear you, Lord. But you will be like Samuel. Speak, Lord, your servant is listening. So please, if you have questions, you have contributions, please drop them in the comment section. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Dominican Media. Follow us at CFF on TV, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Till next time, I remain Evelyn Iwuoha. Keep being saints in jeans and shirts. Bye-bye.